Joe Rogan, in his latest podcast episode, sent shockwaves through the media landscape. Under the soft hum of the studio lights, he spoke with unusual gravity, openly questioning the official account surrounding Charlie Kirk's mysterious case. With his trademark blend of skepticism and blunt honesty, Rogan confessed that too many mismatches and strange details had caught his attention, details that made him feel something was deliberately being concealed. "There's a lot of weird stuff going on," he said, leaning forward into the mic, "and I don't think they even understand what's really happening yet." What began as an offhand conversation quickly escalated into something bigger. Rogan described how he'd nearly texted a friend the night the Charlie Kirk news broke, because, as he put it, "my antennas went up." The first photos of the alleged suspect, a 22-year-old man holding a rifle with a scope, didn't add up. Rogan swore the weapon looked like a modern composite stock rifle, yet the reports claimed it was an old family heirloom, a relic from World War I. Why, Rogan asked? Would anyone use such an outdated weapon? And more importantly, how could they possibly disassemble and reassemble it in hours if they weren't highly skilled? His tone shifted between disbelief and anger, echoing the unease of millions who listened. But that was just the beginning. Rogan went on to suggest that the public was only seeing a small fraction of a much larger, more orchestrated story. He pointed to the bizarre arrest of a man who had appeared at multiple high-profile tragedies: 9/11, the Boston Marathon bombing, and now the Charlie Kirk incident. This man, Rogan explained, behaved erratically at the scene, yelling, "I did it!" before stripping down and creating chaos. Within hours, he was arrested on unrelated child pornography charges. And then suddenly, Rogan said darkly, "You can't interview him anymore." The coincidence was too absurd to ignore. Online investigators pounced on the revelation, unearthing a trail of peculiar overlaps and shadowy connections. Was this man a mentally disturbed bystander, or a part of a pattern? A recurring figure designed to distract the public at the height of national tragedies? Rogan's remarks reignited a frenzy of speculation. Social media exploded with theories, and what had once been considered a closed case now resembled a sprawling web of unanswered questions. Then came the twist. Candace Owens entered the storm with her own set of shocking claims. Speaking on her show, she alleged that the public had been misled from the start, that Tyler Robinson, the supposed perpetrator, may have been framed entirely. Owens said she had obtained new information suggesting that the entire investigation was riddled with inconsistencies. "Everything the agencies told us about the Charlie Kirk case," she said, "is not true." Her words detonated like dynamite. Online communities began dissecting every photograph, every text, every timeline. Owens pointed out that a high-ranking politician's name kept appearing in obscure reports, a name never once mentioned by mainstream outlets. She questioned why Robinson, who had no known interest in firearms, was linked to a World War I rifle allegedly without a serial number. Even stranger, she said, were the etched markings found on the bullet, engravings Robinson himself denied knowing about. "If all we've heard is only part of the picture," Owens asked, "then who's hiding the rest?" Her comments reframed the entire story. The Charlie Kirk case, once treated as an isolated tragedy, now looked like a collision between power, media, and hidden agendas. And just as Owens and Rogan's doubts began to merge into a single narrative, something even darker surfaced. Owens claimed that days before his death, Charlie Kirk had announced a massive internal audit at Turning Point USA, an audit aimed at exposing missing funds and secretive departments within the organization. According to Owens, the timing was impossible to ignore. Kirk's death occurred just days after the audit announcement. Was it a coincidence or the result of what he might have discovered? The conversation grew more sinister as a document allegedly written by Kirk himself began circulating online. Dated September 2nd, just before his death, the memo named Justin Streif as Turning Point USA's new COO and introduced a mysterious project called DOGA GE, supposedly designed to review performance and trace the flow of millions in donor money. For skeptics, the memo was the smoking gun. If authentic, it meant Kirk might have been preparing to expose corruption within his own ranks. Rogan revisited the topic on another episode, calling the entire affair a mirror of how power and truth collide in our time. He wondered aloud whether Kirk's audit had touched a nerve among influential allies and high-level financiers. "It's not just about one man," he said. "It's about what happens when someone threatens the machinery that keeps the narrative in place." Owens doubled down. She claimed that Kirk had been under extreme political and financial pressure in his final weeks. On her podcast, she accused billionaire financier Bill Ammon of coercing Kirk over his stance on Israel and the direction of Turning Point USA. Ammon, she said, had offered financial support that Kirk refused, a refusal that allegedly led to threats and intimidation. Ammon publicly denied the allegations, calling them baseless. But the seed of doubt had already been planted. Meanwhile, attention shifted to Charlie Kirk's wife. Within days of his death, she was announced as the new CEO of Turning Point USA, a decision that divided the public. Some saw it as a natural continuation of Kirk's legacy. Others viewed it as a pre-planned maneuver, perhaps even a cover-up. Online sleuths circulated images from the funeral, speculating that her calm demeanor appeared too controlled. Critics called it absurd to judge a widow's grief. Supporters called it bravery. But in a world saturated with suspicion, perception became reality. The theories multiplied. Had Kirk's wife known about the audit? Was her appointment part of a succession plan or something orchestrated behind the scenes? Anonymous leaks claimed she had close ties to several powerful political donors. Each new rumor deepened the fog. The woman who once stood beside Kirk as his partner in activism was now portrayed by some as a symbol of the conspiracy itself. Through it all, Joe Rogan kept asking the questions no one else dared to. Why was a mentally unstable decoy allowed near the scene? Why was he arrested before being questioned? Why did every video clip from the Utah Valley University event, where Kirk was last seen, show discrepancies in angles, timestamps, even lighting? One frame showed a man moving on the roof. Another, supposedly minutes later, showed the area completely empty. If the suspect really escaped from that rooftop, how had security missed him? The more Rogan and Owens talked, the stranger the case became. Their conversations spread like wildfire, reaching millions who now saw the official narrative as a smokescreen. Forums buzzed with comparisons to past government cover-ups. TikTok flooded with frame-by-frame analyses of the footage. Reddit users claimed to identify the same decoy man at multiple national tragedies. Every pixel of the case was re-examined, every statement reinterpreted, every silence filled with speculation. Then, another bombshell. An insider leak alleged that the dogged GE audit, the one Kirk launched before his death, had already uncovered discrepancies in Turning Point USA's donor ledger, linking some funds to offshore accounts associated with political lobbying groups. The memo, now viral, hinted at financial irregularities involving senior members. Whether authentic or fabricated, it fanned the fire. To the public, the story was no longer about a single event. It had evolved into an epic about corruption, manipulation, and power. Was Charlie Kirk a casualty of his own transparency campaign? Was Tyler Robinson a scapegoat? Was the decoy man a random lunatic or a planted distraction? And most hauntingly, did anyone truly understand who was pulling the strings? Rogan ended one of his episodes with words that have since been quoted everywhere. Every time you think the mystery is solved, two new questions show up. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the truth is hidden behind the version we're allowed to see. Those words hit harder than any headline. They summarized what millions felt, that somewhere beneath the layers of chaos, a deeper story was being buried, one that connected the audit, the suspect, the media silence, and the political pressure. As the weeks passed, new footage emerged, new claims surfaced, and yet the answers remained elusive. The Charlie Kirk incident had become more than a personal tragedy. It had become a symbol of our time. A story about how truth is twisted, how information becomes weaponized, and how skepticism has become both rebellion and survival. Online, the debate still rages. Some insist Rogan and Owens are conspiracy peddlers exploiting tragedy. Others see them as rare voices of courage, refusing to bow to sanitized media narratives. Whatever side one takes, one fact is undeniable. This case has shattered public trust in the institutions meant to protect it. And so the story continues. The missing details, the blurred footage, the suspicious arrests, the quiet reshuffling of power. Each thread pulls tighter, and each question deepens the void. The truth may still be out there, buried beneath the noise, but as Rogan warned his listeners, in a world where the story moves faster than the facts, it's not what you know, it's what you're told to believe.